everyone, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Shaneria, and this is Talking Crime. And let's get into it. We're going to get into this reaction video. You guys, this young lady has a story that other people might have and haven't said anything. So let's listen to today's reaction video.
My pastor tried to sleep with me. I do have to give you a backstory so you can understand the severity of this situation. This did not happen at my current church. This happened maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. For obvious reasons, I couldn't speak about it then. It's too fresh, and I honestly was going to keep it to myself outside of anybody else that went to the church from finding out, especially his children. His wife is my mother's cousin. What does that make us? Cousins, I guess? Cousin-in-laws? I don't know. But he was family. I don't just mean like a mere relative. Like, this is someone who we went to the beach with, we would go out to eat with. His children were super close to me and my siblings. We were heavily in the church. So we saw him and his family all the time. So to dive a little deeper, my mom is a minister. So outside of whenever he would preach, let's say he had to go preach at another church or maybe was out of town or was sick, that's when my mother would step in and she would preach in his place. We grew up in the church probably like 5 to 6 days a week, from choir rehearsal to praise dance to Bible study to church outside the walls. We even did Bible study outside of church, and she like planted a very deep, heavy seed of faith into me and my siblings, her and my father. And I obviously thank God for that, because that is one of the main reasons why I was able to develop a real relationship with Jesus now. Suddenly, one day, we just up and left the church. This pastor met me when I was like 7, 8 years old. So he's known me since I was a little girl. He baptized me. Him and my father were at one point sort of kind of like best friends. So I had to explain that part so you can see how sick he is. If there's anybody watching this video that knows me in real life and grew up with me, obviously you know what pastor that I'm talking about. I don't know how far this video is going to get. I don't know if this video is going to get a lot of views. I don't know. But in the event that it does, I'm not sorry for saying any of this at all. I do apologize to his children, because I know that this is probably the first time that you're hearing about this. I'm not going to say his name, obviously, or put any pictures or anything like that. Let's continue. Now that you have the backstory, again, this was like 4 or 5 years ago. At the time this happened, I was like 20 years old, and I'm 25 now. This was around the time where OF was getting really popular. It wasn't exactly popular yet for what it's known for, but it was around that time where it was getting there. When it comes to certain situations, I look at things for what they are and not what they are portrayed to be. Looking on there, of course, OF doesn't promote itself as that type of app. So when I made it, this was around the time I was heavily chasing my music career. If you know me, you know I used to rap and sing and all of that stuff, and I was heavily trying to pursue being a rapper and a singer. I was deep into my music career, like really trying to thrive and make a living off of it. When I saw OF, I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a perfect outlet to put all of my behind the scenes content on here, exclusive music videos, photo shoots, never before seen photos or unedited photos from my photo shoots. I had this whole big plan to put all of that stuff that I didn't normally share with my supporters or my Instagram followers on there. That is what I was using OF for. I promise you, that was it, and that was all. So on my Facebook, only my family is on there. There may be a few of my friends or associates or people I went to high school with, but for the most part, it was only like family members. I posted the OF link on there, and I specifically put in the caption what was on there. So just thinking about that, even if I was doing that type of OF content, why on God's green earth would I post it on Facebook for my entire family to see? If I was doing that type of content, obviously I'm not gonna put it on Facebook. I get this Facebook message from my pastor. He's like, oh, like, wow, like you have an OF. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'm posting all of my music videos. I had a music video that I had just shot that I didn't release yet. I was giving like my supporters and like my family and stuff a first look at that music video. None of my music videos were explicit or anything. Yes, I was definitely cursing and stuff, but none of my music videos had nothing crazy in it. So then I get a new subscriber. My family, they're really, really good about supporting my music. So this was not uncommon. I didn't find this weird. I was actually like, oh my gosh, I'm getting another subscriber. There was only like 5 things on there: the music video and like the behind the scenes of that music video. So he liked all of them. And then he inboxed me and he said, oh, I have a question. And I was like, yeah, what's up? And he was like, is this the only content that you post on there? And I was like, well, that's all the content I have on there for now. I'm getting ready to post some other behind the scenes from this other photo shoot that I just did. So I don't know when I'm going to upload it, but I'm going to upload that on there soon. Then I'm also shooting another music video soon, and that's going to be up there as well. So I tell him that, and he was like, oh, okay, that's it, LOL. And I was like, yeah. Mind you, I did not know that OF was turning into a P app. Was completely oblivious to it, and not only that, it was still on the rise. Like, it was.
First of all, I don't even know what OF is. Like, I don't even. Like, a lot of people don't, especially older people don't. But a lot of people, even younger people, still to this day don't know what an OF is. Like, everybody is just not into all these different social media apps and stuff like that. But for your pastor to even like message you, like, why you just couldn't say that up under the post if you wasn't being like creepy, right?
Predominantly that yet. And if it was, I had no clue, because I'm not into that type of stuff. I'm reading his message like, yeah, that's it. Like, what do you mean? I'm thinking he's about to give suggestions about other type of music content that I can put on there or something like that. But he comes out and say like, oh, you ever thought about doing any other type of content for it? And I was like, any other type of content like what? At this point, I'm starting to say, surely he's not talking about that. Surely he's not talking about that. There's no way he's talking about that. So I'm just in denial right now because, like I said, he is in the family. This man watched me grow up, and my siblings, and him and my daddy at one point was like this. Also, like I said, we did up and stop going to this church out of nowhere, and we joined a different church. My parents, they never told us why. They never told us what happened. We kind of knew something happened, but they never told us why we stopped going. Remember that, because it's going to be important later. It was like, LOL, you know what content I'm talking about. Nobody wants to see the content that you have on there now. Like, who's going to subscribe to see that? So I'm like, I didn't know how to respond, but at the same time, I didn't want to run with a narrative where I think he's talking about something and maybe he's not. So I didn't accuse him of anything. I just left the message alone. I didn't respond to it. Then he double texted me like an hour later, and he said, oh, I could pay you for the type of content that I want to see. Right there, I'm like, he's definitely talking about what I think he's talking about. I still wasn't running with it because I didn't have proof. He didn't come out and say that. And if anything got out, I knew that he could deny it. Because back then, the church folk that he had surrounding him were like die-hard churchgoers who would back him up to the ends of the earth. If I ever would have came out with this, I would have had to have severe, concrete audio and video proof of this. That's how deep they was going for him. I'm like, what type of content are you talking about? And then he says, I want to see you naked. Literally said, did you mean to send me this? And he was like, yeah, LOL. And I was like, do you know who this is? This is Blank's daughter. I said my father's name. He was like, yeah, I know who this is. I know who this is, LOL. Like, I just want to see some content of X, Y, and Z. He then started being descriptive.
Why you kept LOLing? Like, bruh, like, it ain't funny. Like, you haven't got the picture. Like, you creeping me out. Like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. I told you exactly what this was going to be. And that's it. Oh, my God.
And descriptive with the type of content he wanted to see, and even made an offer to see me in person. And so I was like, so you know that this is Blank's daughter? And he says, yeah. And I was like, this is Shani, like little Shani. And he was like, yeah, I know who you is. You ain't no little girl no more, LOL. I immediately called my father. Immediately called my parents. And when I got them on the phone, I was crying, because I'm like, there's just no way that this man who's supposed to be family, who literally saw me grow up. Like, dude, like, you baptized me and my siblings. You were in my house. I used to spend the night at his house with his daughter. I'm like, wow, like, you really is a creep. Both of my parents was livid, but they also had this side in their voice where they weren't surprised. I was like, why kind of sound like y'all not that surprised? Like, of course they was extremely mad, but they wasn't that like surprised. We're still talking on the phone and I go back to the messages because I'm like, oh nah, I need to show them proof. Of course, the messages are gone. All you see is everything he ever said unsent. I had no proof, but of course, my daddy and my parents, you know, they believed me. Of course, they're not those type of parents. They believed me. That's when I got the explanation on why we really left the church. Something else actually transpired after it came out. The story gets worse. Pastor Tried to Sleep With Me, part 2. So I know some of y'all are very eager for me to get into part 2 of the story, but before I do that, I have to address a few things because I was reading y'all comments. First and foremost, my OnlyFans was definitely made only for my music and my behind the scenes content. If you don't...
Okay, now I know what she's talking about because I have heard of OnlyFans. I did not know that it was a different platform before OnlyFans. Now, I heard of OnlyFans because you can hear people like literally talking about it. Like everywhere, people are talking about OnlyFans. And when I heard about OnlyFans, people were saying how people be on there shaking their butt, doing all kinds of unnecessary mess, like they damn porn stars. So, but the pastor, like, a lot of people don't know about these type of platforms. For the pastor to be so into these type of platforms and also tell a person that's younger than him what should be posted on the site is creepy. Especially somebody that is real close to the family, not only a pastor. Like, creepy. No.
don't believe that, I really don't know what to say, but I have no reason to lie about what my account was for. I honestly don't care who believes me or who thinks I'm lying. God knows the truth. God knows I'm not lying. My parents believe me. My family that I shared this with, they believe me. So that's really all that matters to me. I really don't care or need validation from any of you that think I'm lying. I don't care. I also want to address the comments that I'm seeing talking about hiding and protecting his identity. Here's the thing. I agree with y'all. I definitely do believe that this needs to be exposed and talked about more. Everybody could get on the internet talking about everything, sharing tips and hacks about everything else. But when it comes to stuff like this, nobody wants to speak up. So I do agree with y'all that this needs to be said. However, this is still my life, and this is not going to only affect me if I were to do that. I don't even know how deep this situation goes. I can't hop on here and just outright and expose his entire identity without my family somehow being affected as well. And at the end of the day, I care about protecting the identity of my family, and I don't care how none of y'all feel about it. But on the flip side, I do still believe that it needs to be said and it needs to be exposed, because I don't know what other girl might have gotten affected by this. I have no idea if he's still doing this. 9 times out of 10, he probably still is. If I'm being honest with you, over these years, I do feel bad looking back at it, like, dang, like, should I have like exposed him? Because what if he did something worse? So I do agree with y'all, but it's one of those situations where I'm not gonna lie, I did not expect this story to blow up this big. And for those of you saying, why are you choosing to share it now? Why did you wait 5 years? And why even share the story at all? Because this is my account and I can talk about whatever I want to talk about on here. That's why. Everybody can share all of their experiences on here, but as soon as somebody get on here and start talking about something real, people want to be quick to saying, oh, why did you post this? Why did you talk about this? Like, oh, what's the point? What's the point? I can share my story.
When it seems like when people share their stories, and like, especially when it has something to do with the church or a pastor or something, a lot of people don't believe you, get all bottled up in their own little way and feel some type of way, especially the church going people. Like the ones that's diehard church people be all up in the comments, just belittling you, talking junk, not believing in you, like all the above. But let's not play like it does not really happen in church and people just be making this stuff up.
I do feel inclined to reveal who he is, because after hearing about other stuff that people are saying, I do think he's very sick and something needs to be done, but I still have to use wisdom. For those of you who have a relationship with God and you follow the Lord, you know that you have to seek God with everything that you do. I initially posted this video. I wasn't looking to say, oh my gosh, I can definitely get viral for this. Like, I want some likes and I want to do this and that. I didn't make this video for clout. I already had like 25K on here. I already had a little following on Instagram, so I didn't need followers. Look at it how you want, but I'm gonna talk about whatever I want to talk about on my account. When it comes to revealing his identity, like I said in the first part, if you're watching this and you know me, you know who it is. So it's not like I'm protecting him. I see how y'all think I'm protecting him by not saying who it is, but you also have to remember I don't have proof. So let's say I did show who it was. People are going to be on there like, oh, where's the proof? You can't prove he did it. The account where he sent me these messages, I no longer have. Again, this was 5 years ago. I don't even have that same phone. I no longer have that Facebook account, so I can even show y'all that he unsent those messages. So I don't have anything but my word. Getting on here and showing y'all somebody and saying he did X, Y, and Z and I have no proof. I know there's some people that'll still believe me, but there are also some people that won't. He could very well be a predator and doing something way worse than I think. And I don't have no proof to back that up. So I have to be very careful with how I portray this situation. I was saying, why are you telling us? Why did you bring this to the internet? It's just one of those things where you're telling a story time. You're not really looking for
because a lot of people telling their stories and a lot of people bringing it to the internet, and she wanted it to be heard because I'm pretty sure it's a lot of other people going through the same thing, probably not with the same pastor, but
for anything to come out of it, and it just so happened to just go viral. People out here are crazy. I'm thinking about, what if I say that and then they tie it back to my family and people try to like start harassing my family? Like, my family owns businesses, they have real lives. It's a lot of stuff tied into here. I have a lot of brothers and sisters too. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this. So I will say I didn't expect it to get this big, but it is what it is now. So diving into the rest of the story, when I called my parents and I tried to go back and show them the messages and they were gone. Of course, they felt the way that the messages were gone, but they still believed me regardless. Like, I'm not one of those people that's just gonna lie. I believe in maintaining and upholding my integrity, especially in situations like this. And they know that I'm not gonna lie about something like that, especially given the knowledge that they already had. That's when my mother revealed to me that the reason we left the church was because God showed her and revealed to her that he was operating under the spirit of perversion. And from there, she knew that means she had to leave the church and take her kids with her. So right after God revealed that to her, that's why we left the church. He did tell me that a few people have came up to her and confided in her about him, and all of that stuff just led up to us leaving the church altogether. When we left the church, I was young. We weren't at the age to where we would understand stuff like that, or where she was going to break down stuff like that. Like, me and my siblings, we were young. So we just left the church and found a new church. And that was just it. As kids, you're not really going to question it. Of course, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like, why we leave the church? But you're not going to like think deep into it. You know what I'm saying? She didn't even reveal to me the identity of the people that came up to her and, you know, exposed him to her and their situation. She did not tell me their identity or even give me details of their situation, but she told me enough to show that it was that bad. So I was like, oh my goodness, really? And they just started expanding on it. And I'm talking to one of my cousins about it, and she's telling me how her mom experienced stuff with him, with certain nasty comments that he made. I want to explain more details, but I can't really speak on other people's experiences and what happened with them because I didn't get consent to really tell someone else's story. So I have to keep stuff like that kind of vague and only explain exactly like my side. After that situation happened, a few months, maybe 2 to 3 months passed, and someone in my mom's family was having a birthday party or birthday something. It was a birthday celebration for someone in my mom's family, and we went. And of course, there was the possibility that he was going to be there. My parents did not know, but I told them I didn't want to go just in case he was going to be there. I ended up going anyway because my siblings was going, my dad was going, my mom was going. So I'm like, okay, I might as well go. If he's there, I know I'll be safe and protected because my daddy with me. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. We pull up and of course, he's there. He's there with his wife and I think a couple of his kids. I don't know if his daughter was there or not, but I do remember seeing his two sons were there.
The audacity to do this and then show up all the time, show up after you done said these things or whatever to these people, like you still showing up, coming around them, you're very sick.
My dad instantly got angry all over again. The way that my father wanted to react, he couldn't. If you are a father, you can understand how a father would want to react hearing something like that. This is a man that you was cool with, basically best friends with, and he made a pass on your daughter and you found out about it and he tried to like do some little creep stuff. Imagine how a father would react to that. When my daddy saw him, of course, he instantly got pissed off all over again. The way he wanted to react, he couldn't because my father has other children to raise. And that would have meant he would have went to prison for doing something. And I'm actually very surprised that my dad kept his composure the way he did and maintained self-control because the situation could have got really, really worse. Someone else there that's related to my mom saw him very, very, very emotional, very angry and pulled him to the side like, what's up? Like, what's going on? Like, is everything okay? And my dad told him exactly what happened. So now he's upset because he also had his children around this man as well. Now they're like trying to figure out how to approach him at this birthday party. Again, I can't remember if it was a birthday party or maybe a family reunion or something. It was some type of event. I said hey to a few family members and then I just went and sat in the car. I was just so uncomfortable, especially when I saw my daddy and this other individual getting really upset and both of them was like, nah man, like we need to go say something. Like the next thing I knew, we see him leaving and that was that. There was no fight that broke out at the party. He ended up leaving before it could get to that point. I have been hearing that his wife knows and that she is choosing to turn a blind eye and she is in denial of what her husband is doing. I have heard that multiple times actually, that she is aware of what he's doing. So for those of you saying, what about his wife and what she has to do with? Apparently his wife knows and she's not doing absolutely anything about it.
And she definitely know. She definitely know. She's not the first person that said it. And she know that she's not the first person that said it. And even if you was to tell that woman, she wouldn't care. It's not that she don't believe. She just don't care. She want to be with that man.
I never told his wife. Me and her never really had a close relationship to where I could just like hit her up. I didn't even have her phone number. Like I was only really close with her daughter. And I'm not gonna lie, think whatever you want, but I did not even feel comfortable telling her. How do you tell someone you're close with that their father is a creep and a sicko? Me and her kind of,
I mean, no harm. If you go that far of like trying to holler at young kids that grew up around you and look at you like an uncle, like what else you would do? Because it is perverts that touch their children and stuff too. Like what else? Like even if you would have told the daughter, she probably have her own story. You never know.
kind of fell off. We didn't beef or anything like that, but we did like lose contact and weren't really talking like that. I can only imagine how it would feel hearing that your father is a predator and a sicko. So I don't know. I should have spoke up, but I'll be honest, I wasn't as brave back then to just face his daughter and his wife and say, yeah, your husband or your daddy tried to sleep with me. To make matters worse and add on to all of that, maybe like a year later, I ended up moving back in with my parents for a short period of time. And his son actually reached out to me. I think we were talking about my music or something. I can't remember why he reached out to me. He was like, oh yeah, we should meet up if you want. Like, and he texted me really late one day and asked if I was up. I was like, yeah, what's up? And he says, oh, I wanted to show you something. Yes, it's going there. I'm like, show me what? He sends an eggplant emoji. I was like, we're cousins. And keep in mind, I did not tell him his dad tried to have sex with me and get naked pictures and stuff. I didn't even tell him that. So this runs in the family. This is a family affair. This is a family thing at this point. Now I started feeling like, okay, so maybe y'all all know, and all of y'all sick. All of y'all some creeps. I know some of y'all probably like, oh, she all over the place. She can't tell a story time. Baby, you could keep scrolling. You don't got to be here. But I'm going to back up some more because I do have to specify something else. My mom that I'm talking about, the minister, she's actually my stepmother. So that makes her family not blood related to me. The pastor's son, in his head, we're not cousins by blood, so I guess that's why he felt comfortable enough to think that I would want to do something with him. It's like, Jit, I've known you since you was like 5 years old, and we grew up as cousins. I don't care if it's by marriage or blood, we're still family. That's disgusting. After that, I blocked him, and I went ahead and told the daughter. Now, the daughter in question, the pastor's daughter in question, she is the oldest. So I immediately told her after that. I screenshotted that, and I showed the daughter, and I was like, yeah, this is what your brother is sending me. And she was like, oh, I'm so disgusted. I'm gonna have a talk with him. And that was pretty much all that she said. She literally never got back with me. I did not tell her about her daddy. I know that would have been a perfect time to say something, but I didn't go as far as to tell her about her daddy because, again, in my head back then, I'm like, dang, I don't have the proof. I don't have the screenshots to show them. My parents believe me regardless, but anybody else, I just felt that they were not going to believe what I'm saying because I didn't have proof. I don't remember her apologizing for it. And, of course, the son never apologized. The pastor, the dad, he definitely never apologized. He's actually still a pastor today. Say what you want, but this is something I have to pray on about revealing his identity, because telling a story is one thing. Sharing my experience is one thing. Talking about something I went through is one thing. But putting people's names and locations and revealing identities and all of that stuff, that's a whole nother thing. If I go out and do that, this is going to open up something huge. And if I'm being honest, this is one of them things where I didn't think this through to where I'm like, oh, what if it goes viral and then I might have to like take it further. I'll be honest and say I didn't think that far. I did talk to my parents before I made this part 2, and I let them know like, hey, I shared what Pastor so-and-so did, and the video now seems to be going viral. Do y'all think I should expose his identity and tell everybody who it is? And my parents told me to hold off on it and pray about it, because this is a situation that is serious. This could literally expose him for anything else he probably doing and bring it to the light. And I really want to be the one to help that situation, but I want to do it in a way that is not going to damage my family. But I'm also thinking about the other victims and the other people who could be a victim. I'm not calling myself a victim. He didn't touch me. Who knows if somebody else actually have experienced something with him to where it got that far, or they were groomed or coerced or even SA'd. If I feel led to reveal his identity and this situation gets that big, and if God puts it on my heart and leads me to reveal it, I'm most definitely going to do it. Again, if you don't believe me, I don't care. Another thing with the whole OnlyFans comment, y'all have to remember, OnlyFans was not made to be that type of app. People turned it into that. So for y'all thinking that, oh, what else did you think he was gonna say? Like, are you dumb? Like, are you stupid? That app was not originally supposed to be that. Come on now, everybody on here is not sick and twisted and full of lust and perversion and trying to get their rocks off. Like, there's literally people that have whole cooking shows on there and sharing a whole bunch of other content, but this generation is so led by lust and just freaked out that you just gotta believe everybody that's on there is doing sexual acts. Like, that's crazy to me. Like I said, I did not make it with the intention of sending the mixed message that I was doing X, Y, and Z. Because I seen somebody comment that's like, oh, what did you think he was gonna say? Were y'all like not listening to the story time? Like, were y'all not paying attention to what I said? I literally said, I posted on my Facebook and told them what was on there. So how could he have even got the notion that it was anything else on there? Some of y'all not even using y'all common sense and fully listening. Y'all just trying to nitpick the story. That's pretty much it. Once I saw that the video was starting to get more views, I did ask my parents, like, okay, like, what do y'all think that I should do? And they said that they support me 100% with whatever I decide to do. I'm going to pray on it some more, because this is something that could potentially open up a legal issue. And that's just that on that. Like, I'm not hiding or protecting this man at all. I really could care less about his reputation, to be honest. No one's trying to protect this man. I wasn't going with it. I'm thinking about everything else that's going to transpire as a result of revealing his identity, because it is going to come with a lot more. And that's what y'all not understanding. Like, I know y'all just scrolling on TikTok, but this is actually like real life. Like, I want to leave this last message for those of you who are saying that this is why you left the church and y'all don't want to be Christians because of it and X, Y, and Z. I understand having bad experiences and stuff, but please do not let that ruin having a relationship with God, with Jesus. We are still human. At the end of the day, you're not going to church for the pastor or for anybody there. You're going there for Jesus Christ. You're going there to serve and worship the Lord. Unfortunately, there are a lot of bad pastors out there that are doing similar things, if not worse. That's just the reality that we live in. Bad people exist, evil people exist, twisted, sick people exist. You just have to use discernment and know what church to be a part of. You join a church and they so happen to be some sickos, you know to remove yourself, and that's just that on that. But don't let that be the reason why you walk away from God, because God didn't do it, the pastor did it. There's a lot of pastors that are disguising themselves as men of God, and they're really sick and twisted. So I do want to leave y'all with that. The Lord is still good. God is still good. Jesus is still good. He still saves. He's waiting on you to make a relationship with him. Don't let a pastor or nobody's actions keep you from getting to know God and the Lord for yourself.
You guys, this story is crazy, but it's not unheard of. I believe this young lady, and I believe also what kept her like not telling her story is her family. She don't want her parents to have to like deal with, the bad end of the stick. And also she's concerned of what problems it might cause. Now, for you guys that didn't understand, her mother is her stepmother. Her father is her biological father. The pastor is married to her stepmother's cousin or something. So basically, that's why she said that they are not kin, right? The boy cousin and the pastor is not biologically kin to her, or the wife. They're not kin to her, because the only person she's biologically kin to is her father that married the female pastor, right? So even though that is true, it still is creepy. Like, I consider y'all my cousins. I grew up around y'all. I consider you like my uncle. Like, bro, what are you doing? Like, no, it's not okay. And what's really not okay is that you are overgrown. Even though I am 20, you are overgrown, and you're reaching out in my inbox asking me for nude pictures or wanting to hook up. Are you dumb? Are you slow? Are you crazy to think that this would not creep me out? And you have a wife. All of it was wrong. You are a pastor. You should be ashamed of yourself. And the people that was in her comments asking her all these questions, oh, why you're protecting him? Shut up. If you haven't experienced this type of stuff, shut up. Because it's a lot of stuff that is behind revealing someone's identity, especially if you don't have proof. She's telling her story right now and people don't believe her. Revealing who the person is still not going to make it any better. It's not. People are going to still continue to attack her, and then other people going to realize who this pastor is and who her family is and attack them too. So pipe down with the questions if you have not experienced this. You can only address this situation if you have went through a similar situation. It is hard. It's really hard. And nowadays, you have people believing and will go die hard for these pastors, knowing that they be doing stuff that they should not be doing. And not only pastors, you have people that will literally question you about your experience with something, and they don't even know who you are at all in real life. Of course, this is social media. People have their own opinions of things. This is not right by far. And like she said, for the people that are questioning God or questioning churches or whatever, Y'all, please do not let this type of stuff interfere with your relationship with God, right? Because people will continue to do this regardless. Just keep your faith, keep your strength, keep your Bible close to you, and stay safe. You guys, drop down in the comment section what you think about this story, this reaction video. Don't forget to join the family. Like and subscribe to join the family. Thanks, you guys, for watching. Have a blessed day. Peace.